All right, so we're gonna talk about geometry lights. First thing I want to do though is maybe kill some of these oversized images. That way I can make a nice, yeah, look at that. Love doing that. Best part of my day. So, geometry lights. Geometry lights are what they sound like. They are bits of geometry. They're treated like lights. It's not. That sounds like it would be expensive and terrible, but it doesn't have to be. Also, now we're talking about it. This environment light. I'm gonna turn off enable light in viewport. Though I don't want to see that. Okay. Anyway, so when we were talking about our distant lights and things like this, you know, like the grid or disk, things all commonly referred to as area lights. They are essentially geometry. This is a square. The disk is a circle, you know. So these are geometry. They're just kind of easy, fast, simple, straightforward, commonly used geometry. But if we wanted to have arbitrary geometry, we can do that too. What I want to do now is have the things that are emitting smoke, I want those to be lights. Yeah, that'd be cool. Just little burning tips. We have the particle positions, so let's put little spheres on those particles and say these are lights, meaning when you do the ray trace lighting calculations, try to find those spheres and see if you are illuminated by them. So it's pretty straightforward, actually. Let's make a bit of geometry over here, and I'll call this geom light. I'll call this light spheres. So light spheres, not something that'll be rendered explicitly, but we're just setting up the geometry that the light is going to use. So what do we need? We need the points all the way back from our particle sim. So that was back in the sim points, and there they are. And we want to put a sphere on them, so we can use copy 2 points. It's pretty important here that we keep it as the primitive sphere, not a polygon. When there's polygons, now it's like it's 80 polygons and 42 points times all these things. Now it's hundreds of polygons and points. We don't need to do that. If it's just a primitive sphere, it is just the spheres. It is a point and a radius, and that's it. It's very easy to represent a sphere in computer graphics because, again, it's just a point and a radius. Doing intersections, ray tracing intersections against a sphere is very, very fast. So even though this is arbitrary geometry, and in many ways it's kind of a weird light source, it actually still doesn't have to be that expensive. These are too big. So if I were to have, let's bring our smoke back on so we can see. Because we need these lights to, you know, live in the smoke. So make them half as big. It's probably still too big. Make them 0.25. So they're inside of that. Very good. And that's it. That's all we had to do. That is our geometry. Now to actually, so make a copy this. Turn that off. Just drop down a light. And we'll call this geom light 1. And to set it up, we change the type from point to geometry. We go to area light, because again, it does have surface area. Turn off normalized light intensity area. What this would mean is the more area there is, the less bright any given part of it is. We don't want that. We want, if there are more lights, we want them to be brighter. So turn that off. Turn off self-shadowing. It shouldn't block itself. It's just a glowing orb. You can override the material if you want. We don't need to. And the geometry object itself is the thing that we just made. Now, unfortunately, when it tries to show you the light in the viewport, you know, it just puts it at the origin. It just puts it at wherever this thing actually lives. But it's not real. It's not going to illuminate this in the viewport, much in the same way that the environment light doesn't do anything in the viewport, whether it's on or off. The distant light does. as you know. It makes the shadows, which we like. But this is another light that doesn't really work in the viewport. It would be too complicated. So that's about it. Let's see what that looks like. Go back to the render view, render it. We're back in our main thing here, so it should be pretty fast once it loads it all up. And we can kind of maybe see something. I'm not sure if I do see it. It's probably just not bright enough. So just increase these things by powers of 10 until they work. And there you go. We can see them. So there you go. So it's still not that, you know, it didn't take that long. Let's go back to the same frame we've been using. So 113. But yeah, using spheres are pretty fast. So it's like light instancing. It's like we're instancing these lights, but we don't actually have to like figure out how to actually instance lights. Just putting actual geometry spheres in the scene and saying you are lights is often enough, as we can see. So that's pretty rad. This is another kind of light where, because it is an area kind of light, sometimes it can contribute graininess to the scene, so you might need to increase the sampling quality to 2. It shouldn't make it take that much longer, but it can improve the look of the graininess quite a bit. I also think this could probably be a lot brighter. So it's very bright now, and this one actually also has a little bit of brightness. So that's cool. We went from this to this. You can see the light trickling through the smoke as well. So it's nice. Whee! So that's it. That's it for the geometry light. I mean, you can use any kind of geometry for that. But, you know, like I said 100 times already, spheres. Cool.